So I'm part of the MeidasTouch network. Shout out to the Meidas Mighty, and so is Adam Mockler. Adam Mockler is just turned 23 years old, and he is out there absolutely crushing it these days. He's become a regular guest on CNN with Abby Phillips. He's going into these spaces, he's debating people head on, and he's doing an absolute masterful job at doing so. It's been so refreshing to sit and watch him grow, because I remember a time when he hadn't closed in on 1 million subscribers, and he's already almost to 2 million. That's how good this kid is. I would say, if you haven't seen him, go find him, but he's not hard to find these days. If you haven't seen him, you had to be under a rock, because he is absolutely dominating the space, and he needs to be. We need young voices out there like this that are standing up for the truth and bringing it out in such a masterful way. So I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about how that I feel that the mainstream media has absolutely failed us in this country. Because what happened with the clips I'm going to show you is exhibit A as to what is wrong with mainstream media and the things that they like to focus on, instead of focusing on the glaring elephant that is in the room with them. So recently, Adam was at the Kennedy Center. He was part of a panel that included Stephen A. Smith, Bill O'Reilly was there, Joe Manchin, one of Charlie Kirk's friends and producers, and Adam, and it was hosted by Chris Cuomo. And so they're having a debate, and at one point, Adam asks Charlie Kirk's friend if he would be willing to condemn what was said in the Young Republican chat group, which we covered here on the channel, and it was absolutely horrific, the things they were saying. They were talking about how much they love Adolf Hitler. They were referring to black people with racial slurs. They were talking about bringing back the gas chamber and raping their opponents. It's stuff that should just be a slam dunk that we should all join in and condemn together. But when Adam pressed this guy, he wouldn't condemn it. Instead, he just sat there. So we're going to watch this together. I want y'all to see this with me. Then I'm going to show you a clip MeidasTouch shared. Then I'm going to show you how that Chris Cuomo reacted to all of this, and that's what I do believe is wrong with the media. But right here, this was an easy thing to say. All you had to say, dude, was, yes, I absolutely condemn that. Let's take a look.
Listen, there has been a trend of, I think, you know, let's just say, let's be gracious and say, in the era of Trump, maybe it's a reaction to Trump. I'm open to those discussions. But there is a justification for political violence. It shows up in every poll, and it's coming from progressives.
I have spent all of my formative years watching the President of the United States talk about the opposition party like they shouldn't exist. His claim to fame in U.S. politics was saying that Obama wasn't born in America. That is how he entered the political stage. He was famous before that, but that was his claim to fame. He was the first presidential candidate to ever chant "lock her up" on a political stage. He tried to coup our government. Well, and I live in this, let me finish. Listen. I live in the city of Chicago. Donald Trump, over the past 2 months, has not only posted an AI video of Obama being arrested, but then after that, he posted an AI image of Chicago being invaded. After that, he sent the National Guard to Chicago. So I've spent my formative years watching the president do this. And just think about this. We saw these Nazi group chats, which I'm sure you condemn, right? This Nazi group chat.
Well, we can talk about it.
Do you condemn it?
I want to talk about it.
Wait, so when they said gas chambers, when they say gas chambers, you won't, so you're like JD Vance, you just won't condemn this?
Well, I actually had JD on the show today. We had a whole conversation.
You guys can all condemn this, right?
Hell yes.
Thank you.
These people, including the Vice President of the United States, cannot bring themselves to condemn Nazi bullshit. This is something that we should all be on board. Hating Nazis, I wrote a song, not trying to plug it here, but hating Nazis is like apple pie. It's as American as apple pie. That's who we are. We stand against that. We always have. No matter what sort of political disagreements we have with anyone, we should all be unified behind the fact that we stand against Nazis. But now I'm going to find this clip here, because this is where I just feel like that Cuomo completely missed the point and did exactly what so many in the mainstream media has done to not really tell you the truth. So I'm going to bring this back up here, and I want you to take a look at what MeidasTouch shared, and we're going to watch some of this clip here. MeidasTouch shared this from their channel, and the headline said, "Wow, Adam Mockler just put on a masterclass. Watch till the end." So we're going to watch this here together, and I want you to see just how good this kid is. And I think you'll agree with Ben and MeidasTouch that this is a masterclass. Take a look.
Yes, there is violence, increasingly so in our politics. Why do you think it is, and do you believe it is disproportionately coming from young progressives?
Well, Andrew pointed out an undercurrent of political violence, but there is a deeper undercurrent here of political radicalization of young people, primarily young men. So the same time that Charlie Kirk was tragically shot, another young white dude shot up Evergreen High School in Colorado, and this dude was a far-right neo-Nazi who had anti-Semitic messages online. I think that there's an undercurrent of radicalization that's stemming from a few things. As a 23-year-old, I lived through COVID during my most formative years, and I was able to rebound and have a social life, but a lot of young people didn't really get to rebound. Imagine having this bubble up around you during COVID, and you never really get to pull that bubble down, so you get sucked deeper and deeper down these algorithms online. Those algorithms are then, incentivized to push the most outrage, whether it's foreign bots like Russia and Iran trying to get people outraged, or domestic actors. I think Elon Musk's Twitter feed, for example, is disgusting and could radicalize a lot of young people. I disagree with the idea that violence disproportionately comes from young progressives. It is uniquely up this year, but if you look at any polls, according to CSIS, political violence overwhelmingly comes from the right. These mass shootings come from the right. And when it comes to the leaked text messages that came out 24 hours ago, I don't think it's fair to say there's an undercurrent just on the left. I know what you mean, but there's also an undercurrent on the right. There is something deep and dark boiling inside the GOP, and it's like the Nick Fuentes faction of the GOP. You can't deny that this is boiling when we got these leaked texts 24 hours ago. I do not like when people are characterizing these as kids in college. These were grown adults. Some of them were 32 years old. One of them was a state senator from Vermont. Today, we saw an Ohio aide with a swastika in the back. I would never claim that this is representative of an entire party, but I do think there's an undercurrent of radicalization on both sides.
So the dude is absolutely cooked right there. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I mean, it's over. It's time for him to throw in the towel and go home at that point. And MeidasTouch said, wow, Adam Mockler put on a master class, and he did. And then Chris Cuomo invites Adam onto his show, and he has a bone to pick, not with the dude that dodged the question, but with MeidasTouch for sharing the video and saying Adam put on a masterclass. Take a look at this.
Got to get about who is better. And Adam, look, I get why you did what you did, but I did see how the MeidasTouch advertised it today. The MeidasTouch, masterclass. Look how he destroyed. Look how he exposed the Nazi
Was there
sympathies.
anything unfactual about what I said? Can you name one unfactual thing?
No, I'm talking about how it was hyped. What you said was all true.
Wait, the MeidasTouch tweet, I promise you, the MeidasTouch tweet was a transcript of our wording, and then the owner of MeidasTouch said, Adam Mockler put on a master class because this is a guy who supports me, and he thought I did a good job. But this is not us trying to spin.
I know, but it's not a master class because what that suggests is this is how you take them down. And I think that that is part of the problem.
Shouldn't be easy to take someone down by asking them if they condemn gas chambers.
It's not about the substance.
Not surprise you?
It's not
Here's
the
why it went viral. Here's why it went viral.
Because you suggested the guy's a Nazi. That's why it went viral.
Yeah. Wait,
That's
no, I did not.
No, not you. I'm saying his lack of answering suggested that he was okay with it. That's why it went viral.
You just said that I suggested he was a Nazi.
When I
never did that.
I mean the content. Not you.
Okay, wait.
You weren't.
This went viral based on the actual bearings of the clip. He was acting very, very, squirmy when I asked him a very simple question. And then you know what happened? Stephen A. Smith immediately said, hell yeah, I condemn it. And then even he said, I condemn it. So then I brought it back and said, you can condemn this, right? The idea that I spun this to go viral is not true whatsoever.
No, I'm not you. I'm talking about how the MeidasTouch used it, which is how they should use it, because that's what trips the algorithms.
Quickly, can I respond to one more thing?
Adam, if I had a problem with you, and I'll give you the last word.
There is no way in hell you can make that one make sense. My question is, why didn't he have the guy on there that dodged the question, and why didn't he hold his feet to the fire the way that he did MeidasTouch for pointing out the obvious, which is that Adam Mockler put on a masterclass, and he said, no, that's not how you do it. Well, how else do you do it? How else do you do it? I don't understand how we could live in a country where we can't call out Nazis without someone saying, well, now, hold on a minute. The reason it went viral is because you accused him of being a Nazi. No, the reason it went viral is because the dude ducked and dodged, and it should have been a slam dunk. It should have been something that we should have all been in agreement with. But we're not. because the Republican Party doesn't have a problem with feeding this base. And when J.D. Vance refuses to come out and condemn this, and when Donald Trump refuses to come out and condemn this, it gives those young men that Adam's talking about that are in those echo chambers, it gives them permission to be Nazis. They feel validated by the president and the vice president of the United States. So when people don't call this out, that's what they're doing. They're making this even worse. They're fanning the flames and they're riling up that base, and that base is becoming the Republican Party. And folks, there's really not even any denying it anymore. There's no way, because they won't distance themselves from it. I would automatically step forward and say, hey, wait a minute, hold on. I don't know what the hell these people are doing at our party, but they do not represent us in any way. But we're long past the time when John McCain took away the microphone from the lady that was accusing Barack Obama of being a Muslim. We're long past that. We don't have Republicans out there anymore that's willing to say, wait a minute, hold on. I just disagree with this person. Everything from Donald Trump, like Adam said in one of those clips, it's always been about making the left his enemy. It's always been about lock her up. It's always been about rooting people out like vermin. It's always about the enemy from within. And then they look to everybody else. They hold everybody else to this scrutiny. They hold everybody else under this microscope. He didn't bring the guy on that ducked and dodged and drill his ass. Instead, he brings Adam on and, oh, look at how Meidas shared that. Wow, just hit the algorithm. That's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And I'm just going to say something. I'm tired of talking about Charlie Kirk, to be brutally honest with you, but these are my true feelings on Charlie Kirk and guys like that sat and ducked and dodged that question. Back in the day, there used to be a recurring character. I don't remember his name. Maybe somebody can find it. But there was a recurring character that he would appear on the Howard Stern show. He was on Jerry Springer a time or two. He portrayed, I'm not even sure that he really was, but he portrayed a Ku Klux Klansman is what he portrayed. And he was like an old Southern dude, white dude, that just had this really annoying voice. And he would go on there and say things like Charlie Kirk said. If he was on the Howard Stern show, he was there for Robin and Howard and the crew to mock and ridicule and make fun of him. That's what the guy was there for. If he was on Jerry Springer, he was there for the crowd to boo when he said things. And this guy would say things along the lines of, when he got on planes, he was afraid of black pilots, or he would say things like, he would like to see executions during the middle of, the halftime show at football games. So this guy was a recurring character on these shows, and he was put there to be the butt of the joke, and he was put there to ridicule and mock and laugh at, and no one took him seriously. And back then, Democrats and Republicans both could watch those shows, and when that asshole was on there, we both could turn and go, that's a Nazi, and that's bullshit. And that's where Charlie Kirk should have been. That's where the guy sitting next to Adam should be. They should just be on a show like that, a recurring character, to show us what not to do. Not being platformed by mainstream media, not being platformed at these colleges, and then we're gaslit into, oh, he just wanted to find a place where we agreed on things. He just wanted to engage in conversation. No, he was an agitator like Ravishing Rick Rude, who used to go out and spray paint his opponent's wife on his crotch and swivel his hips. That's what he was, and that's what these people are, and they're dangerous, and now they're in our government, and the president and vice president refuses to call it out. It's absolute horseshit that Adam Mockler got questioned like that by Chris Cuomo. Why wasn't the prick that said that not brought on the show and told, hey, until you can condemn this shit, you're not going to be on any panel. Until you condemn this shit, you're not going to be back on this show. I'm not opening the door to that dude until he condemns that shit. And I know that I've always been hard in the paint about I'm not going to talk to these people. I respect the hell out of Adam for going face to face with that dude. But we have to start calling them out like Adam did, and I applaud him for it. But people, the mainstream media, have platformed these people and normalized and same-washed this kind of bullshit to where Adam's having to sit there. He shouldn't even have to sit there beside a dude like that. That dude should just be the butt of the jokes on a Jerry Springer reboot. But that's everything to me that is wrong with mainstream media. I saw the clip, and I watched the clip several times, and I showed the clip to my mom. And I watched it because the dude was ducking and dodging. And I agreed that Adam put on a masterclass. It didn't go viral because that's how Meidas talked about it. It went viral because of the way the dude ducked and dodged. But we live in a world where they hold Adam, and if you watch him on CNN when he's with Abby Phillips, they will hold him to a stronger account than they will the President of the United States. And that's what I think is wrong with the mainstream media, and that's why I put a lot of the blame on them for why we ended up in the boat that we're in today.